You're watching The Sports Objective, the podcast for Pirates.
ECU, Private Nation, Purple and Gold family, stand to your feet, put your crossbones up, and lean side to side, yeah, and lean side to side, yeah, and lean side to side, come on, yeah, welcome to the island, man, it's crazy in here, a whole sea of purple and gold waving in here, keep a plank on the shark tank, traders beware, because we got a whole bunch of rowdy sailors in here.
You're watching the Pirate Football Playback on The Sports Objective. Join us every Sunday night on our YouTube channel and Facebook Live as we talk East Carolina football. Now, here are the guys.
Welcome into the Pirate Playback, brought to you by, presented by L&K Custom Homes. Talk to Kevin Walker. He's a licensed general contractor, and you can call him at 336-688-8461. So excited. Big Pirate victory on Friday night. I'm still on a high. How about you, Kyle Barber?
Yeah, I've watched the replay of the kick. I don't know how many times, several. I've watched the fourth quarter over again on my DVR. Somebody went and put Jeff Charles's radio call over the TV kick, and I've watched that on Twitter several times. So, yeah, it's a good win. It kind of reminded me of the 90s a little bit with this game, because back in the 90s, we used to make all these random trips against these random teams, before Conference USA, and then in the early days of Conference USA, and kind of going on the road and beating BYU was kind of reminiscent of something from the 90s to me.
Yeah, I thought that was, like I said earlier, I really enjoyed watching that game just because it was something outside the norm. And I see where you're going with that, Kyle. It is a little reminiscent of the 90s. And I'll tell you what, guys, I was not big on the Friday night game before it happened, but I got to say it made a few things. First of all, it made my weekend feel longer playing on a Friday night.
It did.
And it was a little less, it made my Saturday a lot less stressful. So I actually, in hindsight, I enjoyed the Friday night game. It was an awesome game to watch. I mean, even if you're not an ECU or a BYU fan, I'm sure that was, a fun game to watch. So, I don't want to make a habit of the Friday night games, but I definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree with you about if you're a neutral fan, a college football fan in general, that was a good game to watch. And that's what I'm telling you. When you go to work tomorrow up there in the Northeast, more people will probably mention that win. I don't know if you guys even talk sports at work, but you may get more pats on the back about that win than you have any so far this year. And by the way, not for nothing, UCF's in the top 25, so we've beaten the top 25 team this year. So how about that? And the Pirates getting votes in the AP top 25, none in the coaches poll. I don't know what the hell these SIDs are doing to do these polls for the coaches, but the fact that we're not getting votes in that top 25 is ridiculous, but we are in the AP. Anyway.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you guys heard, but, the only reason why we won that UCF game apparently is because we somehow stole a playbook. But not only did we get the playbook, but somehow Mike Houston, guys, memorized it in about 3 days and taught it to our players.
Well, here's the thing, Matt. Here's the thing, Matt, and I want all UCF fans out there that are watching this, and all UCF media out there that are listening to this to hear this. It's true. We did steal your playbook, and we've given it to Memphis, Navy, and Tulane. Good. So you're screwed, baby. You're screwed. We didn't give it to Cincinnati because we wanted you guys to beat them, because it's going to help us with our path to the conference championship, when we run through the rest of our schedule. But we've given it to the other three so they can knock you off. So you're screwed. I'm sorry, UCF.
Yeah, you know what it comes down to, guys? Look, they're not in reality right now, and they need to come down from their highs. Look, you got your ass beat. You got beat. Take it like a man and move on. Stop making excuses why you lost East Carolina. You lost, we won. Get over it and move on. And that's what it comes down to. Stop making excuses. That's the worst excuse I've ever heard in my life for losing a ball game that a graduate assistant gave the playbook to Mike Houston.
Oh,
Like,
I've heard that crap before. People always, whenever somebody, since they beat Cincinnati this week, they must figure, oh well, hey, clearly the only way East Carolina beat us was because could it just be that hey, we were really well prepared for that game? Could it be that maybe you guys were looking ahead to Cincinnati a little bit? Could it be that Cincinnati's just not as good as people think they are? So we'll see. I think if we keep playing like we have the last few weeks, a lot of more people are going to be accusing us of stealing playbooks.
Yes, sir. And that's quite all right. If people want to disrespect us, Matt Semenza, you wore the purple and gold, and I know you still do, even after your playing days. And people always disrespect us. That's part of being a Pirate, and that's where the chip comes from the recruiting process. That you're not good enough to beat these big schools. Maybe if it's in the Northeast, like your case, or wherever the case may be, the Midwest, the South, whatever. And the bottom line is, we're Pirates. We're used to it. We're not going to be the end thing. That's okay. That's what's part of our DNA, the hardworking blue collar people. And I tell you what, our fan base is awesome. Pirate Nation, go ahead and get your tickets, by the way, for the Houston game.
Well, our fan base used to be awesome. I think our fan base now needs some work because I didn't see asses. When I watch NC State play on a Thursday night and their asses are in their seats with a 7:30 kickoff and it's packed. When I watch North Carolina have an 8 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday night, and the wine and cheese crowd in Chapel Hill has that place packed, and I think these last 2 night games, I think particularly the UCF game, fan support was disappointing, and so I'm challenging the fans like you were about to, Dave, to and most of the people that listen to the show are preaching to the choir. They're there. If you can be there on November 19th, be there. You win or lose to Cincinnati, it doesn't matter. If we beat Cincy, we ought to sell the damn place out. But
exactly,
if we don't have at least 40,000 in the seats, not tickets sold, but in the seats, that'd be a damn shame.
Well, there's
sorry, David. I was gonna say it certainly would, and even if a scenario where first of all, let me just say I think that is a very winnable game at Cincinnati, and but even if we were to drop that game, you still have a team that's now bowl eligible, with a chance to, at that point, if you were to lose Cincinnati, win 8 games and get that 7th game at home against a good opponent. So what more do you really want? I mean, what more do you want at that point?
This is the last time we're going to play Houston. So
yeah, most likely, unless we meet them in a bowl game. I don't see that one be a scheduled non-conference.
Well, I want to challenge. Wait a minute, and I want to challenge our administration since they won't talk to me anymore. Not that it really matters, but hey,
they don't talk to you at all anymore.
Not really, but it's all right. Let's schedule.
When did this occur, Dave?
It's all right. It's all good. I should have said that, but it's okay.
So no more John Gilbert on the show?
I don't know. We'll see. Schedule somebody. Let's schedule. Can we schedule, please? And you know what? It's fine. If NC State and North Carolina won't come on the schedule, last time I checked, and we should have them on the schedule, by the way, but that's their choice. Matt and Kyle and I, we could sit in a room and start calling people. And I'm sure there's plenty of Power 5 schools and Group of 5 schools that will be great opponents that we can get.
Well, it'll be interesting to see who the opponent is for the home and home that we're going to have to sign.
Norfolk State.
Huh? No, well, it's going to be an FBS opponent. It's going to be an FBS opponent, Dave. I don't want to start that argument again. We'll save that for off the air. But it'll be an FBS opponent. It'll be interesting to see who he gets. But I want to know more about the inside scoop here with the administration not communicating with you anymore.
It's all right. It's all good.
We still have our media credentials, right?
Yeah, we do, and I'm very appreciative of that and grateful for that. But
does John? Do you want to say here on the air to John Gilbert and the head of the Pirate Club, Ryan Robinson, what you give to the Pirate Club every year?
I mean, I give a lot, but I mean, it's fine if they.
We're all Pirate Club members, so when they refuse to talk to us, you forget about it from a media member standpoint. That what they're doing is refusing to communicate with Pirate Club members, and you're a pretty substantial donor. I'm a donor, not substantial. Matt, I have no idea where you are with the Pirate Club, but I know Bubba donates, and I know Bubba's father is a big donor.
Yes, he is.
So better watch who you decide not to communicate with, boys and girls.
Well, I was just saying that because I think that we need to do a better job scheduling. But anyways, the biggest thing is, guys, let's talk about Cincinnati. That's more important than me. I'm not trying to make this show about me. I was just making the point about scheduling. And Matt, this game is the great thing about this season is this is the most fun we've had in a long time. And I was thinking about today, speaking of me, selfishly, that myself, Kyle, and Bubba, and now Matt, I know you came on as a guest way back when, but it used to be so hard to cover the Pirates, and now it's so much fun. We've got this thing rolling. And guys, just think about this. Just a couple weeks ago, everybody was down in the dirt. I was thinking about this afternoon. Look how far the Pirates have come in the last 3 weeks for the season, where we pretty much, people were saying we're going to win 3 games, 4 games. I've heard all that mess after.
Well, it was people after the Tulane game.
They panicked.
And I think it had a lot more to do with the Navy game. And quite frankly, we were not playing good football at the time. But what I said repeatedly is I don't think it's a talent issue, and I don't think it's a coaching issue, really. I just think we weren't clicking. And I thought all the problems could be fixed. That's why I wasn't worried. And during that Memphis game, the problems got fixed, and we've got on a roll since then. What it's going to be challenging, Matt, and you can speak to this being a former player. How do you keep that momentum going through the off week?
Well, it's a really good question. And I think that when you go into the off week off of a win, it just changes everything. But, the difference between going into it off of a win versus a loss. You go into it very confident. You go into it with the mindset that, hey, we're going to get healthy. It's a critical point in the season. We're going to rest our bodies a little bit and make sure that we're healthy. And then it also, as you get late in the season, just from a mental standpoint, when you're losing, it becomes a little more fatiguing, not only physically, but mentally, guys. It's a long, draining season. So it keeps spirits up. It keeps guys positive. And that's not just being like coach speak or cliche. Like, that is the absolute truth. And, when you're winning late in the season, it just keeps everybody going in the right direction mentally. So, thank God we won that game, and now we have a nice long break. And I'll tell you what, guys, I felt really strong that we needed a bye week before BYU, but now you look at it and you're like, man, this just comes at a perfect time that we get, basically 2 weeks before Cincinnati to heal up and get ready for that game.
Yeah, we need it. We need it. I hate for the offense in terms of rhythm, because the offense particularly, and of course the defense has been playing well too, but the defense has kind of been playing well all season by and large. But the offense particularly has really started clicking in that Memphis game, and I hope they can keep that rhythm up. But we need you saw Keaton Mitchell went out late in the game, got his bell rung, probably dealing with some concussion protocol. Hopefully over the next 2 weeks he's back for Cincy. CJ got injured twice. He went out. I don't know. Have you guys heard anything about that CJ's last injury in the fourth quarter when he went out late? What that was about?
I haven't. It was not mentioned anywhere so far, at least that I've seen. Dave, I don't know if you've seen anything.
No, I haven't heard. I've been looking again. I looked last night. I had to work overnight last night, so I looked and trying to catch up on a lot of that stuff. And I watched the whole game again. I've done that a couple times, but I haven't seen anything on it. I was trying to see if I could tell. It's funny y'all brought that up. I was trying to see if I could tell about Keaton and about CJ, but I think you guys are right. I think it was a concussion, but
yeah, with Keaton, CJ went out on the last drive, and I'm not sure what happened. He walked off on his own power, but he when it could have been an aggravation from earlier in the game with appeared to be a shin injury. But we need both those guys for Cincinnati. That's
yeah, no doubt about it. And the one injury I did hear about, guys, that I was really concerned about was Julius Wood. Mm-hmm. And I did hear that he's fine, absolutely fine.
Good.
Because I'll tell you, man, that's a kid that really, man, in that first half, guys, he was blowing people up. He really was. He's a physical. I like him because he's an athletic, excuse me, he's an athletic safety, but he's very physical, and he can come up and really hit people. I love that. So, we need him.
No doubt.
He's got the greatest name for for a defensive
Lay in the
player.
wood.
Wood. I mean, exactly, man. I was like, I know Jeff Carr, that was his nickname, but this guy's his last name is actually Wood.
Yeah.
By the way, you can bring your put your questions and comments on Facebook and YouTube, and we'll get to them. By the way, we'll start off with Brandon tonight. Good evening, guys. Going to miss watching ECU football this week, but they need time off. And he also says it right now, guys. How about this? I'm calling it now. We're going to win out and get a rematch with Tulane. That's from Brandon, one of our fans.
Yeah, I hope it happens. I'm wanting it to happen. Maybe we'll will it to happen.
Yes.
What people don't realize, we're receiving votes in the top 25. You win these next three, and we will be just outside or at number 25 when we play Tulane. If Tulane wins out, they'll be probably around 15.
Yep.
So if we beat Tulane, we went out. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. How's Dallas this time of year, boys?
Hey,
or better yet, how's Dallas around the first of the year?
Yeah, it's going to be that, and I mean, I might get the road track ready by then, guys. Kyle,
that's a lot of ifs and buts and fruits and nuts, and but if it were to happen, I mean, I couldn't imagine. I mean, hopefully I'd be deep into chemo by then, but hopefully I could find a way to make it to the Cotton Bowl if that were to happen. And that's a lot of ifs and buts between now and then. But
that's the thing. The great thing about that conversation is that we're not like saying that's going to happen because it's going to take a lot of work to get there. But just the fact that we're in that conversation. I mean, the Peach Bowl and Independence Bowl, the two biggest bowls we've ever had.
Liberty Bowl, Liberty Bowl Day.
Liberty Bowl is big, but
Liberty Bowl is bigger than Independence.
Okay, but I mean, I thought that. What about the '78 Independence team?
Yeah. Liberty Bowl '95, Liberty Bowl against Stanford. Liberty Bowl is a more prestigious bowl than the Independence.
Okay,
it's not even close.
I thought Independence was bigger than that, but I mean,
not even close. Not even close.
Okay. Well, anyway, the fact of the matter is, this is there. That's one of the New Year's bowls. I mean, come on, New Year's Six bowls.
What is?
And again,
Cotton. Yes.
Yeah, with the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, the Cotton would be equal to the Peach Bowl. I mean, because the Peach is also New Year's Six, and like I said, there's a lot of ifs and buts. But if that were to happen, that would be huge.
Yeah, and
in fact, you mentioned the Independence. You want to know how far the Independence has fallen? It's a pre-Christmas bowl now. It's December 23rd, and that is an option, by the way. The American now has the Independence Bowl, so that is a potential landing spot for the Pirates. We'll see where we end up. The opponent is supposed to be Army in the Independence Bowl. Army will likely not get the bowl eligibility, so it'll be interesting to see who gets that spot instead.
No doubt about it. And going back to, by the way, let's go ahead and get a couple more comments here. First from Craig talking about our fans. He says, I think the fan base was frustrated and still frustrated over the state and Navy losses. You can't change it, but certainly it is on your mind as you evaluate the remaining games. We are solidly in the top 25, and rolling with those wins could have changed the outcome of the Tulane performance as well.
You know what? If our fan base, get over it. Get over it. If they're frustrated with the NC State and Navy loss, get over it.
That was the first.
It's not going to keep us from achieving our goals. All we need, if we win out, all we need is UCF to do is lose one game, and they got to play at Tulane, boys and girls. So all our goals are still in front of us. If you want to harp on the negative, and I'm not talking about Craig, I'm thinking Craig's a good fan. I'm talking about him talking about some of the other fans. At this point, if you are still thinking about the Navy and NC State game, now the NC State game is what it is. The Navy game is a little frustrating because I get that right now we would already be in position. We wouldn't need any help to make the conference championship game. But, teams lose games or not. Matt Semenza played on the football team. Matt, you were on the you were on the 95 team, correct?
Yep, sure was.
So y'all struggled earlier. We're around 500 at one point, and then went on a roll and went on to the Liberty Bowl. So if people sat there and pouted about us losing to Cincinnati, back in '95 in the middle of the year when they weren't very good, it ended up not mattering. We went 8-3 that year, and 9-3 with the Liberty Bowl win, and It's time to move on. Get over the Navy game. Get over it. Move on.
No,
Focus on the positive. Focus on beating UCF, Memphis, and BYU.
Yeah.
I mean,
the Big 12.
Guys, everything changed. And I mentioned this the other night, but I'm going to you'll probably hear me say this a bunch for the rest of the season, but everything changed. You go back to 5 minutes left in the first half against Memphis.
Yes.
Yep.
Everything changed right there, guys. Everything. Now, I was there, guys. I was probably on a ledge at that point, down 17-0. And I'm like, man, what is going on here? The team right there, they get 2 quick scores going into halftime, and that changed the entire season. It changed the entire season. So I'm not thinking anymore about Navy. Definitely not thinking about NC State. I could care less at this point. We had a huge win the other night, and watching that Cincinnati game yesterday, guys, I felt that UCF was able to really pound them on the ground, and I thought they were the more physical team up front. And they were able to run the ball in Cincinnati. So I feel like we have a very good chance to go in there and run the ball and get the win. So I'm only thinking about what's ahead at this point.
Exactly. Focus on what's in front of you. Not don't worry about what coulda, woulda, shoulda, because it didn't happen. And it's last year had a turning point in the season. We started off last year very disappointing, and that Marshall game in the third quarter, late third quarter or early fourth, it's hard to remember now, was a turning point. We made the big comeback in that game. In this Memphis game, it was the same way. It was the turning point, and we've been on a roll since. And like you say, Matt, I think we can win at Cincy. I've been saying it for weeks, and I think this team has a goal now of winning out. I believe their goals have changed. It's no longer now they've got bowl eligibility, so now it's the next step is to try to win out and go to conference championship. And if we hopefully we achieve that goal. If we don't, it's okay too. You want to win as many games as you can. At this point, I'd be a little disappointed with anything less than 8 wins. But it is what it is. We're in a bowl, and I'll be excited about that. But I believe if we can stay healthy, we could win the rest of the way. I mean, it's not going to be easy. Cincinnati's going to be tough. Houston's going to be tough. Houston's playing good football now. They've only got 1 loss in league. They give up a lot of points, but they score a lot of points. It could have a shootout in that one at Dowdy Ficklin. And then you got to close it out at Temple. And Temple's improved. They're not great, but they are improved. And you get them in Philadelphia on Senior Day on Thanksgiving weekend. God knows what the weather might be for that one.
In an empty stadium, and there'll be about 10 people there, and they'll all be East Carolina fans.
You know what? If we win these next 2, it may be all East Carolina fans there.
Yeah,
you may see a packed out. By the way, not for nothing. I believe I need to go look at the schedule. It's either the same weekend we play Cincinnati or the same weekend we play Houston. I believe it's the same weekend we play Cincinnati. UCF plays Tulane, so we could. If we beat Cincy and UCF beats Tulane, and Tulane beats UCF, that Senior Day against Houston, that place better be packed the F out, because it's all in front of us then. All we have to do is handle our business.
Yeah,
let me ask you guys something. Dave, I'll throw it to you. Sorry, Dave. I don't mean to talk over you there. But if there was a line that came out today for the Cincinnati game, this is a hypothetical, what do you guys think the line would be?
Cincinnati minus, probably Cincinnati minus 6. I think 6. I think 6. Yeah.
Okay.
I think they're still going to get credit for what they've done up to this point. I think that'd be my guess.
Dave, what do you think, Dave?
I see what you're saying, Kyle, and the only reason I give the edge to Cincy is because of that we're playing on the road. I'm thinking. My gut said the first thing that came to mind, honestly, guys, is 4.5. That's the first thing, even though I think it's more of a.
Well, we were a 3-point underdog to BYU on the road. To keep that in mind.
Yeah, I know. That's my gut feeling is 4.5. But I mean, I could be dead wrong. But that was the first thing that came to mind. It's going to be more than 3, which I know. But I think it's that tight of a ball game again. And like a 3-point spread.
Cincinnati is a 20-point favorite over Navy this weekend. just for comparison. By the way, another interesting line of note. Man, we're talking lines. Boise State is an 8-point favorite over BYU. That one's in Boise. I would not be surprised if BYU won that game. Boise has played they lost a couple of games early non-conference, but since then the Mountain West is really down this year. So Boise's gotten hot, but I wouldn't be surprised if BYU won that one at all. It would not shock me.
Hey Matt, what's the how far are you from Philly, by the way? A few hours?
Oh, from Philly, I'm probably about 4 hours. It's a pretty easy drive. Yeah. Actually, you can take a train there too. It's a very manageable trip for me.
Even SeatGeek, because of I know that's a big stadium. They have tickets as low as $8, so that's probably the most. But I'm just like, I'm laughing at that because I'm like, that. I'll tell you one thing: if we've got a lot of marbles, if we've got the conference championship on the line and all that, and we got to go, that might be a road trip for me. I've been thinking about it all season, so because I like Phil, I do actually like the city of Philadelphia. I'm a huge Rocky fan. I know it's corny, but I do like Philadelphia. But I would like to see that game, and that would be great if it's the last game of the season. We have 8 wins, potentially 9 wins, a lot on the line. It'll be fun to go up there and see the Pirates win.
Yeah, no doubt. Hopefully that's the situation we'll be in, where we're playing for win number 9. That'll be unbelievable. I mean, it's go 9-3 in this league, and with this non-conference schedule, NC State, BYU, even Old Dominion isn't a cupcake. So if we could go 9-3 with the schedule, that's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah. By the way, our good friend Bubba Rosenbaum.
I heard of him.
You heard of him?
Yeah.
Hey, Bubba. UCF's remaining schedule is at Memphis this Saturday. Then they have at Tulane, Navy, and USF. So they have the war on I-4.
Yeah,
so
they're going to play at Tulane when we're playing Cincinnati, same weekend. So if we beat Cincy on Friday night, all eyes will be on that Tulane UCF game to see if the Wave can pull the upset, or not pull the upset. The Wave would be favored in that one.
Bubba's going to be at Nippert Stadium on the 11th.
There you go. Bubba will be there to watch the Pirates beat the Bearcats, hopefully, and that'll be a great moment for Bubba if we pull it off.
And by the way, I gotta bow to Kyle right now, because you actually said we're gonna win. You said we're gonna win. You said we were gonna lose to Tulane. You were right. You said we were gonna beat UCF. You were right. You said we were gonna beat BYU on a field goal. You were right.
I actually, to be fair, I didn't say we were gonna beat UCF. I said we were gonna beat Memphis. The UCF game, I don't think I ever gave a prediction, but I did say BYU was going to come down to a field goal, and I was right about that. And I've been saying for a while now we were going to beat Cincinnati.
It's summertime. You said that we had that one circled, and you said that way early in the early.
Well, we clearly also had UCF circled the way we played that. So I think those are the 2 we have circled, and hopefully we'll take care of business. And the Cougars is another one, man. We hadn't beat Houston in a Coons age. When's the last time we beat Houston? So that's another one we need to go in.
Yeah. And last year we had them on.
What was that saying you just said there, Kyle? Did you say in a what?
In a Coons age.
What? That's one.
You've never heard that, Matt?
Before. You just taught me something. How about that? You just taught this northern guy something.
In a Coons age, baby. I really don't know what the hell it means, but I've heard people say it my whole life. It means a long time.
I like that. I'm gonna have to use that. I'm gonna incorporate that into my.
You better be careful using that. People don't want to. You don't want folks to take it out of context.
Well, that's absolutely not.
Yeah, and you might just put right.
I didn't even think about that.
Just put right in front of it. Let's change that. We haven't beaten Houstonati. We hadn't beaten Houstonati in a long damn time. We hadn't beat Houston in a Raccoons age. Just to be clear, I don't want anybody to take that out of context.
Yeah, that's good clarification.
One of our good friends and viewers and listeners, Johnny Robertson, says he truly believes that Tulsa will be a problem for Tulane this week.
Possibly, dude. I really hope not. I kind of want Tulane to handle their business and win out. The best thing for the Pirates is for Tulane to handle their business and win out, and for us to handle our business and win out. then that means they beat UCF. That means we won out. That means we're playing Tulane for the conference championship, and it puts Tulane probably around 15 or 16 by the time that game happens, which means if we beat them, we would probably end up in the Cotton Bowl.
And if we go there, how many of you, Matt, how many of you guys would be willing to go down there with me to New Orleans? I love New Orleans. I'll drive down there. That's how crazy.
I wouldn't.
Oh.
I'm not going to make that because if we win it and we're in a position to go to the Cotton Bowl, which I know is a lot of ifs and buts, but I couldn't make both those trips, and I would clearly want to make the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys. It's funny. I was saying to my wife this weekend, New Orleans is a trip I really would like to make. I've never been there. I'm dying to get some of that food.
The food is amazing. The restaurants.
So
the restaurant.
Could you? I mean, if you can afford it to make both trips, absolutely. If that
happens,
happens,
that's the question. And it's just so hard from a time perspective. But yeah, that is, I guess, the $1 million question. If you had to choose, which one would you do?
It's no question for me. It's an easy choice. Easy choice to me. I think if we're in the situation where we went out and Tulane went out, and there's going to be some other players. Boise, if they went out, will be a player, and Coastal Carolina, if they went out, will be a player. Even though I think that's ridiculous because their non-conference schedule was so weak. But yeah, I would definitely be at the ball game.
The Pirates, Bubba reminds us they're 39th this week in the AP poll.
Yeah.
And by the way, Bubba has the answer to that question. Of course, he does. We've lost 3 straight to Houston. Last win came in 2012.
Yeah, I remember that game well. That was after Navy had just blown us out, and somebody broke into the stadium and made donuts. You remember that? Remember when somebody made donuts all over the field with a 4-wheeler or something? And we had to get the field ready for that Houston game. And we had a huge bounce back. We didn't lose another game. Navy embarrassed us. And then was
that the 70-point game?
No, that was 2010.
2010. That's right.
This was they scored like 56 on us.
That's
right. And in 2012. And then we followed it up the next week and beat a decent Houston team and then won out and went 8-4. Or we might have lost one more, but we ended up 8-4. And then lost the New Orleans Bowl, Louisiana Lafayette. But
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, just shifting gears for a second. I was thinking about going back to the BYU game, guys, and the more I think about it, just with now having the perspective 48 hours later, what a great win it is. And number one, I firmly believe we got BYU's best shot.
Yes, you're correct.
That was a motivated team. When I'm sure that team was challenged to a man that week. They were challenged by their coaches to play their best football, to play physical, to come out and get a win. So, we go across the country on a short week against a motivated team. And here's the crazy thing about it, guys. We did not play a clean football game. We made a ton.
No.
I mean, when you watch it, we made so many mistakes. The fact that we were able to win that game is remarkable.
That first snap, oh my God, that first snap, that low snap, and you all of a sudden you're -10 there. I mean, you're like literally.
Yeah, that team, had they not had, like I said, that Memphis game was a character game, and had they not. I don't even know. That game took a lot of mental toughness to win. We had, like you said, Matt, we made so many mistakes. There was so much adversity. There was times where I felt like that game was getting ready to get away from us. And we always just stood there hanging around. We tie it. We could never quite take the damn lead, but we finally did late when it mattered the most at the very end.
No doubt. And Bubba makes a great point. We are, what now, maybe 10 plus stops on 4th and 2 or less?
Yeah, we're really good on 4th down. And BYU is there. Somebody showed me their margin on 4th down this year. They are horrible on 4th down.
And guys,
they got to quit going for it.
They had won so many night games there in a row. We broke that. I mean, it's just there was
they had won a lot of Friday games there in a row.
Yeah.
That's a good point. No, that's a really good point. I mean, because I did hear something about that. It was Good Lord. I think it was like 20 straight, if I'm not mistaken, on Friday.
There's a whole bunch. And Craig says it was a great win, and I believe we win easy without the offside on the sack fumble. Huge momentum shift.
Yeah, perhaps. So, I mean, that was a big moment that they called the offside. You could be right. It could have been a 2-score win at least, but I'll tell you how it was. That was fun. I mean, going back, to win it on a field goal like that is something everybody's going to remember for a long time. And notice that nobody talked to the kicker. It seems like we're trying to, unlike Owen last year after his big game-winning kick, it seems like we're trying to just keep the media away from the kickers now.
By the way, Bubba even brings up the fact that we entered the game 53% on third down, went just 2 for 8 on third on Friday, but overcame it. How about that? Only 25% on third down. That was one of the – I'm glad you brought that up, Bubba. That was one of the things I was going to talk about is the third down percentage was just not good. But
yeah, we were bad on third down.
Hey, guys, great teams find a way to win. And I think that it comes down to – you were talking about – you were definitely right, guys, about being challenged, being the BYU perspective. But what about our team being challenged? They're saying, guys, you have the talent. The coaching is there. They've been coached up. They're well prepared every single week. Go out there and win the damn football games. It's that simple. And Matt and Kyle, doesn't it look like the guys are having fun out there? I've said that a lot this season. It looks like the guys really are getting along. They're in the right places. We're making mistakes, yes, but it seems like they're having a lot of fun out there.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and I think they enjoy playing together as a football team, and you can see it in the celebrations. This team. I tell you what, Mike Houston team's how to celebrate. I'll tell you that much, and he's big on that. And I think that's part of the culture. Is he rewards winning. He rewards winning. He lets the guys show out. He lets the guys have fun and the winner's dinner and all that. So that's kind of part of our culture here. Is winning gets rewarded.
Yeah, and how about Robert makes a great point. The experience of winning tight games versus Memphis, Marshall, and Navy last year paid off in the BYU game.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that a lot. I think the Memphis game was sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I think that and then I think the UCF game we just had so much confidence going into this one, and you just. I go back to guys. You think about this game when we went for it on fourth down and got it, but they didn't give it to us and they didn't review the damn play. And then we get the ball. BYU gets the ball back, and you just you feel like, oh God, we're going to lose. And then on third down, they throw a little short pass and we tackle him before he gets to the first down markers. And I was like, oh, my God, they cannot go for it here. It's 4th and 2, and they're going to have to punt it to us. And I texted you guys immediately and said, we're going to win it on a field goal.
You did.
And,
yeah.
That was great. How about this from Johnny Robertson? He said, how about Malik Fleming avoiding disaster near the goal line when the punt carried further than expected because of the altitude?
Yeah, that was a hell of a punt. There were a few punts.
Was that like 73 yards, guys?
It was crazy.
70-some yards?
Yeah, that could have been that's a good point by Johnny. I mean, that could have been a disaster right there. And but I was gonna say, guys, there's so many things when the coaching staff sits down with the team, and I don't know if they gave them the day off today or what, but when they watch that film, there's so much to learn from that. There were so many crazy situations in that game, unique situations where you're in 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, and you got to make a play. And I tell you, like, the one thing I haven't mentioned yet, and I really want to, we're always talking about the quarterback and the receivers. How about the offensive line, man? I mean, we ran the ball on them very effectively, but the pass protection, Holton had a pocket, and they were playing kind of a unique defense, guys. They had 2 safeties very deep. If it's funny. Yeah. Go back and watch, Kyle, I don't know if you saw that, but I mean, 2 safeties very deep, and they were basically just say, hey, like, we're not going to give you any deep shots down the field. Everything's going to have to be underneath, and you're going to have to earn it.
They tried to play us like they did against Tulane, and that's kind of the style like Tulane did against us, I should say. And that's kind of the style BYU's been playing all year. In the theory is, good luck driving the field. But when you give up 10 yards a clip to a running back, it's easy to do that. But yeah, I think that's kind of what they've been doing here recently. But it was somewhat similar to what Tulane did on defense, and we handled it much better against BYU.
Sure did.
By the way, we got another thing here for. Let's see. We've got a lot of comments coming. Thank you. Keep your comments and questions coming. Craig says their pass blocking was like a fortress. We didn't get in the backfield very often. Props to our defensive backs. They worked hard all night. And he, of course, corrected that.
Yeah, they pass block well. He's right. We didn't get to their quarterback, and also their quarterback's extremely mobile, so that had something to do with it too. In fact, he got on my damn nerves. That was an annoying ass quarterback.
He wasn't.
Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I agree. I was just agreeing with you. Now you go ahead. I was just saying he was very annoying.
Yes.
Yeah, very. And I mean that in a complimentary way. He was just aggravating the play, and I would say to BYU fans, I don't know if any BYU fans are listening to this or watching this, but I see some coaching problems there with your football team. Honestly, just to be honest. Not on offense so much, but on defense.
Defense, yep.
And you guys need to correct that. But don't give up on your season. You got a guaranteed win unless you just completely screw it against Utah Tech. So I give you 5 wins, and
I think they're going to
beat. You can definitely beat Boise, and Stanford's not good. Stanford just had one nice win. Besides that, Stanford's not a good football team. So I fully think BYU could still easily end up in a bowl game.
Yeah, yes, no doubt. By the way, our very own Bubba chimes in. Runs of 31 and 39 by Keaton, and then the 50 plus reception to Josiah Hatfield. Several other 10 plus runs by Keaton too.
Yeah, every time Keaton touched the ball up until late in the game, kind of after he got shook up, he was just lightning in a bottle. And the Liberty running back did it the week before and kind of exposed BYU. And we took advantage of what we saw on film that Liberty did to them and used our running back the same way.
Yeah, and I'm glad we brought this up because I've noticed something that we're doing a little differently with Keaton recently, and I could be completely wrong about this, but I feel, you guys tell me. It seems like what we're doing with Keaton is, instead of, you always hear coaches say, all right, when you get the ball, hit the hole, quick, hit the hole. It seems like almost what we're doing with him is he takes kind of like a shuffle step, and he at that point is going to say, all right, I'm going to either bounce it and get to the corner with my speed, which he does 90% of the time, or I'm going to try and increase him and hit the hole. And it seems like it's a little different to me what we're doing, and it's by design. And I think that's the coaching staff's way of saying, hey, we have the fastest player on the field, and we're going to try to allow him to make a play and hit the corner.
Yeah, I think you're right. I've noticed that too, that we've done more east-west. And with most running backs, you want them to go north-south. And eventually, yes, you do. But Keaton at times needs to go a little east-west, then take it north-south. And I'm with you. I've noticed that. Unlike Marlon Gunn's a guy you want to have hit the hole in a hurry and go straight ahead. I would work goal line a lot with Marlon Gunn in practice over these next 2 weeks without Rajay. I think we can't rely on Holton so much down in goal line situations. And when you take Keaton Mitchell out of space, he's not nearly as effective. I would be working goal line, short yardage, red zone stuff with Marlon Gunn nonstop these next 2 weeks. How about you, Matt?
Yeah, I agree. And like I said the other night, I think in that game you could really see the absence of Rajay kind of on you there.
I think Gunn can fill those shoes if we use him right. Kind of almost coach him to be used in those situations.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he definitely has the skill set. And one thing I'd love to see, like a 3rd and 1 guys, just to put Gunn in there with Keaton and just do a direct snap and just go hit the hole. Just go hit the hole, man. So different things you could do. I agree. Work it. Because Keaton, as great as he is, his skill is not pounding the rock on
No,
one in between the
that's
tackles.
not. That's
No,
not.
and Holton is actually better than that than Keaton. And and Holton's been great in the red zone, but you need to be able to rely on your running back down there, and without Rajay, you kind of lose that ability as much. But I think I think Marlon Gunn can do that, and I think we need to work that a lot these next couple of weeks.
No doubt. And by the way, Bubba's chiming in a few things. We'll get in. Parker Moore starting and playing 43 snaps since Henderson had been injured. Noah played the other 16. And he also says that Mike Houston said after the game that the BY quarterback, Jaron Hall, hadn't run that much and he was healthier than he had been.
Yeah, and I heard that they had said that, when we interviewed their color analyst, one thing he said they were going to be healthier this week. He didn't realize their top running back and their top receiver was going to be out. By the way, they have a nice stable of running backs. But yeah, that he did say that the quarterback was going to be the healthiest he's been all year, and he was, and he played well. And if I'm BYU, it may be too late in the game to change your approach on defense, but when you can run the ball the way they can with the quarterback and with their stable of running backs, I kind of wonder why they don't take more chances on defense.
Yeah, they are very conservative on defense, to your point. And I thought they were very, at times when you watch that game, they were in a great rhythm. I thought, in particular, early in the second half, they had some really good things going with. They were hitting the wide receiver screens, and we had a really tough time getting out to those screens. We were overrunning a lot of them, and so they were effective with that. And they were mixing in the run. To your point, Kyle, they were mixing in the run game really well. They were in a great rhythm at one point. And there was a point in that game where I was saying to myself, I thought they had our number a little bit.
Yeah, I did too. But it's amazing we only gave up one touchdown in the second half. It seems like we both scored more in the second half. But what both teams did just kept having long drives and then screwing up.
Yeah, exactly. And I just want to say we have a big time defensive coordinator here in Greenville, guys. Blake Harrell is a big time defensive coordinator. I really believe that. We are very fortunate to have him. And I think Mike Houston, when he made the decision to change DCs after his first year here, that hire was massive, a massive hire.
Yeah, that's a great hire. I think Blake's a great defensive coordinator. It'll be interesting to see if he gets any, Power 5 opportunities defensive coordinator. Hopefully he stays for a while. But when you if we, depending on how the defense is finished the season, I could definitely see some people giving him a phone call. But he's good, and it was a great hire. Well, Mike Houston, and it's an interesting story with their background together, going all the way back to being from the same hometown, and heck of a hire.
Mike Houston working at Blake Harrell's dad's store. Great stuff there. And by the way, Bubba said after the game, Keaton said the BYU linebackers are waiting, and you can't wait against speed.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that they were waiting to tackle, and you can't do that. You got to pursue.
No doubt. By the way, Robert, I'm sorry, I hit the wrong one. Robert says, loving Bubba's stats. He can get more information by commenting than trying to talk over y'all. JJ guys, big fan of the show.
Well, there you go, Robert. If you enjoyed just nonstop stats, we'll just have Bubba just give stats constantly and not talk. Instead of you don't enjoy the witty banter between the three of us. So, you can go read stats. They're not that hard to find, but glad Bubba's contributing that way. He always is great behind the scenes, but I enjoy when he's up here talking.
No doubt.
What was that comment from Craig? I didn't get to read that.
Let's keep winning and bring him to the Power 5 with us.
Well, unfortunately, we can't move Greenville to Charlotte. So that's always going to be our problem. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with Boise State. Look at what Boise's done, and they never get their opportunity because even though Boise's a nice sized city, who gives a shit about the Idaho media market? Nobody. So North Carolina, on the other hand, that's one thing I don't think people get, and I do think we can deliver the whole state. I don't think it's limited to Greenville. I think we can deliver the whole state of North Carolina. We have fans across the state. You put us in a Power 5 conference. NC State and UNC already pay attention to what we do. If you put us in the Big 12, they would be pooping their pants.
Yeah, and by the way, how about the fact that we can, if you look at Tulane, you look at Memphis, us, I mean, maybe throw in another team, but if you had the Big 12 and they want to expand, especially now that you're adding Cincinnati, UCF, for example,
I think, Dave, not to cut you off, but I think the Big 12 is already going to expand. That media deal today being announced at $31 million per school, I do not believe that's based on what the Big 12 has. Without Oklahoma and Texas, I don't believe that's based on the schools that are there plus UCF, Houston, and Cincinnati. I think that the gig's already up, however you want to say it. The Pac-12 is going away, or it's going to be much less than. Washington and Oregon are hitting to the Big Ten eventually with UCLA and USC, and because it's going to have to. You can't have USC and UCLA on an island, so you're going to have Oregon and Washington go there. And when that happens, Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah are going to go to the Big 12 and make it a 16-team league. That'll leave the Pac-12 with 4 teams. If it's in the bylaws, if the majority of the team leaves, that the Pac-12 can be dissolved, then there'll be no more Pac-12. Those 4 teams will go to the Mountain West, potentially the American. But if that is not in the bylaws, then the Pac-12 will, of course, survive with those 4 teams because there'll be a lot of money still to be had from all the schools exiting, and they'll probably invade the Mountain West. But I really, truly believe with the Big 12 media deal being announced today that it's already in the works to have some Pac-12 schools join. I was shocked when I saw that they got $31 million a school. That just it doesn't make any sense. So there has to be something else coming.
And Bubba was talking. I thought he said $50 million, but
no, $50 million in total revenue, 31 from the TV deal.
Oh, okay, I got you now.
Which puts them above the ACC, I believe.
That's correct, because the ACC is getting 36 mil a school.
Yeah,
think about period or media.
The media deal for the media deal I think is 36 million, right?
Okay, so that doesn't put them above the ACC. That's $5 million behind. But I really thought that their media deal was going to be about $20 million a school, which is still a lot of money, more than what the American gets. But for $31 million, that tells me they're getting some Pac-12 schools. Matt, would you agree with that?
Listen, I'll trust your judgment on that. My head is spinning just from thinking about all these different scenarios. But so I'll just trust your judgment on it.
Well, I mean, do you see $31 million per school worth of value?
I was shocked, and I really was. I did not see that one coming, guys. And I think somebody made a point on. I saw somebody on Twitter mention that. How do you think Florida State and Miami feel that UCF is now making more money?
So it is more money than the ACC, but the media deal itself is $31 million. I know I read that. I know I'm not crazy. So I guess the total revenue, they're going to get more money than the ACC somehow, which is nuts. That's nuts. And I can guarantee you now the ACC is going to be demanding that ESPN reworks their deal.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah. I mean, with the Big 12, absolutely. And it also, Matt, you're a Big 10 guy. What about North Carolina and Duke? There's been a lot of talk that North Carolina and Duke being a Big 10, having the academics.
Well, if they go to 20, but.
Yeah, I've heard it, but it's just so hard at this point to speculate. Who knows? Who knows, guys? What's going to happen next? I can't keep up.
I'm pretty confident more than North Carolina State going to the SEC.
I don't know about any of that, but I'm relatively confident on my demise of the Pac-12 and the 2 going to the Big Ten, Oregon and Washington, and then the other 4 that I mentioned going to the Big 12. Because to me, it doesn't make any sense any other way. To me, that's the only way that media deal makes sense.
Let me ask you something, guys. Okay, let's say that that's true. What about the 4 remaining teams? Would they?
Yeah, I just talked about that.
Hold on. I know that. But is it a possibility that they could somehow keep the league together and then add teams like East Carolina, Memphis, Tulane, a whole bunch
To
of
the Pac-12?
Yeah.
No. They can keep the league together, and they'll add San Diego State, Fresno State, Boise State, probably
But look,
SMU.
there's a reason.
Do what?
There's a reason why I bring that up, because I understand what you're saying on the West Coast, but isn't it a possibility they've had the Pac-12 for years has had trouble getting on at an earlier time with an earlier time zone, and that's why the Big Ten. That's why the Big Ten is what they're trying to do. The strategy is that they're going to own every single time zone, guys, with having UCLA or Oregon, Washington.
Well, they haven't been proactive enough to do anything to prevent that. So I see what you're saying. It's possible at that point, if the league's not dissolved, those four, would try to do something more unique. My guess is they probably wouldn't go any further east than Texas with SMU. But who knows? Maybe. I mean, maybe you form some kind of coast to coast conference, and maybe at that point,
another one they should add to the Big 12. SMU, East Carolina, you have Memphis in there. I mean,
that's not going to happen. They're going to take from the Pac-12. I'm telling you.
I'll tell you one thing, guys, that I was thinking about this weekend. When you look at the new American Conference, one thing that's going to be really important to that league is, Temple. Temple needs to raise their profile. They need to get back to where they were a few years ago. That's really important for us to have another team that can be kind of a regional rivalry, because I'll never count Charlotte as a rivalry. But we need Temple to get their team back to where it was. That's going to be really important. And we need to make sure we maintain Temple, Memphis, Tulane, and South Florida. If we can hold those together, at least there's some semblance of a league, because I'm not excited about the Rices of the world.
No. The only school coming into this league that excites me at all is UTSA. They're so damn far away, that's not going to be a rivalry. But besides that, I think the rest of the ads were horrible. Just freaking horrible. I mean, you can sell me on UAB if you try real hard with their new stadium facilities. But besides that, I mean, the rest of it's just nonsense. I mean, Rice is, nobody goes to their games. You claim they bring the Houston market, but do they really? North Texas, we already have the Dallas market. Charlotte's garbage in football. I'll consider them a rival in baseball and basketball, but not football.
Agreed with 100% there. Not football at all.
Florida Atlantic has potential, but it's never been reached. So I don't understand these ads. I would have done things a little different if I was in charge, but I'm not. So it is what it is. To me, if we were going to add 6, I would have probably went Appalachian State, Old Dominion, Southern Miss, Marshall, UTSA, and then I can't even come up with a 6th school.
What about the FAU? I like FAU.
You know what? I can come up with a 6th school. I would have brought in Louisiana, the Raging Cajun. That would have been my 6th school.
Okay. Yeah. No Coastal in there?
No, I don't. I just Coastal's eventually going to have to show me they can win football games without Jamie Chadwell, and I respect the hell out of their baseball program, but no, I wouldn't have added Coastal. That wouldn't have been one of my 6 choices. I would have certainly liked Coastal over a lot of the teams we are bringing in.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah,
guys, do you want to switch to the American scoreboard?
Yeah, let's do that and get ready to wrap this thing up.
Yeah, I know we all have to get up early in the morning. First of all, we'll talk Houston 42, South Florida 27. We'll talk about that game.
Yeah, I watched a little of that. Houston looks good on offense. Defense, not so great. South Florida at times showed potential in that game. That guy's going to get fired. I don't see them giving him another year.
Yeah.
Even though they have improved. But yeah, Houston with the W.
Yeah, what did you think about it, Matt?
Yeah, it's just basically the same thing. That score is probably about what I would have predicted if I was to, predict that game. But yeah, I think South Florida's coach is probably as good as gone. He's probably just trying to get through the season at this point, and that's a program that's definitely underachieving right now.
And SMU 45, Tulsa 34.
Yeah, I didn't see any of that game.
Neither.
SMU's also kind of so this year. They got a decent offense. They'll make a bowl game, but that's about it. They needed to win that to keep their bowl hopes alive. I believe that's win number 4 or 5 for them. Bob, is that win number 4 or 5 for SMU? Do you know?
I think it's 4, but I'm not 100%.
So SMU and SMU's played a difficult schedule also, so do have to keep that in mind. But Tulsa looked good at the beginning of the year. They've dropped off recently. They're competitive, but haven't been winning ball games.
Yeah, they really have dropped off considerably here. I don't know if they're dealing with injuries or what's going on down there, but they started off strong and they've definitely fallen off. So,
Here's the one that we've been talking about: UCF 25 and number 20 Cincinnati 21.
Yeah, UCF did that without their quarterback, which may have been a blessing. I don't know. Their backup looked pretty good. That's the kid from South Florida, right? Is that the kid that was starting in South Florida last year?
Mikey Keene, he was their starter. He started, I want to say, 9 or 10 games for them last year for UCF.
Okay. What am I thinking about? I thought somebody from South Florida transferred there. Maybe he did too. I don't know. But anyway, Mikey Keene and the Knights get the win over the Bearcats. Watched quite a bit of that. Very competitive ball game. Good defensive game. So UCF beats Cincinnati. They're ranked 25th this week, which means we've beaten a top 25 team. I don't know. I really ain't got a lot to say. I've Cincinnati, man. I really believe we can win that game. I have not been impressed with Cincinnati in recent weeks.
Yeah, and what happened is they had those super seniors last year. They're not there this year.
And they're still a good team, but they're young.
Right, they're young. That's what I was going to. Inexperienced is what I was going to say. It's not that they don't have talent; they just don't have the super seniors.
Yeah. They got a lot of talent, and they'll be back up to that high level. Of all the teams going to the Big 12, I think they'll do the best.
I agree 100% on that.
How about the fact that UCF had 2 turnovers inside the 20-yard line in that game last night, too, guys? So that game probably shouldn't have been as close as it was.
I agree.
But very impressed with UCF's ability with Bowser to run the ball in between the tackles. They really pounded Cincinnati, I thought, and looked like the more physical team. So I agree. I mean, Cincinnati, the talent's there, but a little younger. They have some stud tight ends, though, man. We have to be very careful on play action. That's what they like to do. They like to hit with play action to the tight end.
And here's one: Navy 27, Temple 20 in overtime, and
saw the end of that. Navy won it on the interception in overtime. Temple is better this year. They're a lot better. It's not showing up in the wins and losses, but they are a much more competitive football team. I don't like that game Thanksgiving weekend at all. After we're playing all these big emotional games week after week, and then you don't want to have a letdown at Temple.
No.
Because they are competitive. They're good enough to beat you.
No doubt. And, that's one of those things. We've seen games many times that we shouldn't win, we're winning. And then games that we should win, we don't. That's why, as they say, you play the game.
Play the game. Yeah.
How about this one? 8 second half turnovers, including 6 in the third quarter for Wake Forest at Louisville. It's crazy to get 6 possessions in a quarter.
Jesus. Unreal. That game,
wow.
Matt, I remember you saying it was either you or Jay did not like the line of that game. You said it was either you or Jay that said
that was me. Yep.
And you wouldn't touch it because the line didn't make any sense to you. And boy, Vegas was on to something even more than what they realized.
Yeah,
no doubt.
They sure were.
That's what's happened when you turn it over and it's for a pick 6 or a short field. Laughing.
Yeah, but Louisville's played well the last 2 weeks. It'll be interesting to see. Louisville had a lot of preseason hype, and they may close strong. They're another team that could end up winning out. So
2 biggest shockers of the weekend, guys. Besides that game we just mentioned, Louisville, the fact that Kansas State beat Oklahoma State.
Oh my God,
48-0.
Yes,
Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bubba.
Look at that, Bubba.
Yeah,
Good timing,
that one made no sense to me. And how about Tulane beat Kansas State? By the way, not for nothing. When people keep that in mind, when people were pissing and moaning about that Tulane game, Tulane beat that Kansas State team that just beat Oklahoma State 48-0.
I mean, did Oklahoma State, did they just basically party all week after that Texas win? Did they do any preparation whatsoever? That's inexplicable, guys. I mean,
Yeah.
it's almost unbelievable.
I don't know.
Speaking of,
I have no idea how Oklahoma State's offense all of a sudden sucks so bad.
I'm guessing they haven't been shut out. If I'm going to go out on a limb. I don't know this. I don't know anything about this. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's probably the first time they've been shut out, and I'm going to guess 20 years.
what Bubba, check on that. But Oklahoma State being shut out 20 years ago. Here's one for you, Matt. Your favorite team got a win yesterday. How about UConn? They get a win over your second favorite team, and that would be BC. 13-3. Hate it for our friends in Chestnut Hills.
First time ever that they beat Boston College. They were 0-12 against them all time. UConn now has, I believe, 4 wins and has a chance to make a bowl game. 2 out of their last 3 are winnable ball games. And if UConn could go 6-6 in year one under what is their head coach's name, guys?
Jim Mora Jr.
Yeah, Jim Mora Jr. If he can get them 6-6 in year one, that's unbelievable. And that win over Boston College for them is. I really thought they were going to storm the field, but they didn't. Huge win for that program.
Hey, by the way, let's go back to that Temple game really quick. Johnny had a great point. Temple was held to 20 yards on 20 carries against Navy. How about that, guys?
Wow.
20 yards.
I'm surprised it was that close then.
Wow. That's that. And Craig even said that too. Wow. Johnny Robertson. Wow. By the way, how about this? This is a great point Bubba makes about the K-State game. Starting quarterback Martinez was out for K-State, and they still win 48-0. I didn't know that, Bubba. That's in
unreal.
fact, so that makes it even crazier.
Yeah, no doubt.
Mike Gundy is going to be getting beat up in back in Oklahoma State this weekend.
Did you see that?
Yeah, we were just talking about that, Brandon. Yeah, screw BC, and I'm not a big UConn fan, but
you love the Huskies, Kyle. You love the Huskies.
I always thought it was, when they thought they were too good to be in the American, and I get it though. I do. They'd rather be in the Big East, and quite frankly, independent football may be a better path for them.
Here's the answer. Bubba found it. He's our crack research team. First time OK State has been shut out since Oklahoma shut them out in Bedlam in 2009.
Okay, not 20 years, but it's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, you think about Oklahoma State, the first thing you think of is a team that scores a ton of points.
Yes. Yep. Mike Gundy's offense is always humming. And
how much hair do you think Gundy lost? Do you think he still has does he still have the mullet?
No, he doesn't have the mullet. He hasn't in a while. The mullet now belongs to Holgerson.
But I love got to give Bubba props, man. He's pulling these stats out of nowhere right now.
That's Bubba's the stat man. People say stats are for losers. I say stats are for Bubba's.
That's right. No doubt. Do you guys? I know it's the off week, but what are you guys going to be doing this week? I mean, it's one of those interesting times.
Well, let's see, Dave. I'm going to be doing chemo. After that, I'll be doing some more of that, and then hopefully by the weekend I'll be feeling good enough to get out and do something. It's almost nice to have a weekend off where you can plan to do something else. And we actually, for all the wives out there, you get 3 Saturdays in a row here with No Pirate Football. But I'm going to watch lots of other college football like I always do. This actually is getting to be a fun time of year. Maction starts this week, guys. So you get Tuesday and Wednesday night football every week now with a little bit of the Maction.
There you go.
Nice.
How about this? Illinois 26, Nebraska 9.
Illinois is having a really good season quietly.
We got to do that for Matt. He's a Big Ten guy, and the Illini are 17 now.
Yeah. You got to give credit to why am I drawing a blank on his name? The coach for Illinois.
Oh God, Bielema. Yeah, he
He was a disaster at Arkansas.
Just a bad fit. Just a bad fit.
That was not the right hire for that guy and for that program at all.
Yeah.
So now, in fact, he said they're now 14th.
Wow. Well, good for the Illini, and been a long time since they've had that kind of success, and so good for them. That's really all I got.
No. All right, guys.
Let's comment on one more game, and then we'll get out of here. By the way, I did not realize the NFL Network had a deal with different conferences, including the American. Houston SMU's on the NFL Network next weekend, but I was watching Marshall Coastal on the NFL Network last night, and I have never seen a game so annoying in my life. Marshall was clearly the better football team. They'd get down in the red zone and screw up over and over again because of piss poor play calling. Marshall should have won that game. They all ended up losing 24-13, but I don't know if anybody else watched that, but Marshall was clearly better than Coastal and just kept shooting themselves in the foot.
That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy, and that's the way it goes, guys. Want to thank obviously our sponsors, L&K Custom Homes. They're our title sponsor of the Pirate Football Playback. Call Kevin Walker, licensed general contractor. We have Porky's and also pgxgloves.com. Kyle,
how did Trunk or Treat go in the costume contest, Dave?
We had about 40 kids. They actually, I didn't realize it, but there was 4 different trunk or treats at the same time. So that kind of hurt us, but it is what it is. You learn. Maybe we should do it the previous week. So, but anyway, you live and learn, but we had a great time, and certainly food is awesome. By the way, at Porky's, and give them a call there, Porky's Backyard Barbecue, for your holiday party. Call the Holiday Brothers. And as far as pgxgloves.com, Kyle, I know that they have a lot of great stuff, right?
Yeah. Get yourself some custom gloves for yourself, for the golf course, or maybe for whatever sport your kids play. pgxgloves.com. Put in promo code ECU at checkout and save yourself 25%.
All right. I know it's an off week, but we'll still have all our programming here, including we'll have our Pirate preview on Tuesday night. So stay with us. You've been watching the Pirate football playback. And hey, as always, go Pirates.
You've been watching the Pirate Football Playback on the Sports Objective. Join us next Sunday night on our YouTube channel and Facebook Live as we talk East Carolina football. Follow us on social media at The Sports OBJ on Twitter and TikTok, at The Sports Objective on Instagram. Please like and follow our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. As always, we appreciate you listening to the show. Go Pirates!